Now we're going to transition to another section. This is my all-time favorite. It is the Reddit rabbit hole. Let's jump into the rabbit hole. So what we do here is we scour Reddit for questions related to people asking about the nervous system regulation, so on and so forth. And we've got some really amazing ones that I'd love for you to answer.
Sure.
So this first one, and you'll probably see me like squinting in the screen because I want to read these out. This one, someone asked, they are seeking simple daily habits to help heal my nervous system. And the background that they provided is, do you have any daily simple things that you could do to help heal your nervous system? Stuff that doesn't require a lot of time or energy preferably, because let's be honest, it takes all that I have to both work and brush my teeth on most days, which is really unfortunate to hear. What would you say to this person?
Oh, yeah. So one of my favorite joy practices to regulate my nervous system is in the morning and in the evening when I'm in bed. And I just like audibly moan and I'm like, oh, it feels so good to be in bed. And I like sound like a crazy person. I like shake my legs around and I like shift my weight a little bit and all of that to just really experience luxury in my bed. My blankets are there. Like, my PJs are on, like nobody needs me, like I'm just gonna roll around here, right? And that is the perfect lazy girls regulation, right?
Yes.
If you are feeling just
it.
totally shut down. But kind of also what we spoke about before, right? Introducing gentle swaying, introducing, gentle vagal toning practices as you're on calls, as you are making lunch, dancing. But for somebody like that, if their energy is that low, they're not going to be doing a dance party, right? So it's all about gentle supportive movement. Remind yourself you're in your body, give some nice massage to the body or sensory experience. Just run your hands, your fingertips over parts of your body very lightly and you'll feel the tingling, right? A nice head scratch. And that's really where we have to start, is creating really joyful sensations in the body that start to give it energy again. It starts to go, oh, like I can feel this again. I have a reason to come back alive.
Love that. I think the movement. So you typically sway and you do, touching your ears, and for me, my neck is always where I hold a lot of tension. So massaging my neck is really powerful. Are there any other movements? I saw you do like this, which is beautiful, like kind of hugging yourself.
Yeah.
Any other things you do that really feel rich, and I love that, luxurious as well?
Well, because I am super well versed in somatics, I can really just kind of pull out whatever I need that day. But there is a lot of lying on the floor or lying in bed and shifting the hips or bending the knees and shifting the knees and swaying them, or pushing, the balls of my feet out or shifting the ankles, right? There's a lot of expansion through lengthening the body. So pointing the toes and putting the hands up or out to a T. You even feel more powerful when you do this, ways of, again, kind of bringing in energy. I also will do some light patting or tapping as if I'm building up the energy in my system all the way from my feet and have it here, and then either harness it in or send it out like we were talking about, almost like completing, like you're acting, right? So there definitely are a lot of approaches. It's just that early days when we almost feel like we can hardly think about anything at all, let alone plan a sequence for ourselves, right? It will look like a lot of rolling, fetal position rocking, swaying side to side, right? Just to get our system feeling a little bit more calm and in itself.
Got it. Absolutely. This next one, it's a longer one, but one that I absolutely cannot wait to ask you. So I'm gonna read the whole thing. So this person starts off with, how do you let your anger out without letting it take over? Like, we kind of talked about this earlier, but they have some really interesting nuances here. I have a hard time with anger, not because I lash out, but because I don't. I shove it down, bury it deep because it scares me, but I think so many people can relate to this.
Absolutely.
It feels like there's a beast in a cage at the pit of my stomach, and lately it's been testing the bars. I worry that if it ever escapes, I won't be prepared. For the first time in my life, I'm furious that my mom didn't believe me and let me down so many times. I'm enraged that my brother betrayed me. I'm disgusted that my father treated me with such disregard, seriously harmed me, and thought what he did was okay, or worse, never thought about it at all. I don't know how to let any of this anger out. I want to smash something, slam a door, express myself violently. just like I saw my father do. But unlike him, I don't want to revel in it. I fear my anger. The moment it starts to surface, I shove it back down, afraid of what might happen if I let it breathe. I know I need to release it somehow, but nothing feels right. The idea of screaming into a pillow seems so absurd to me that I won't even try. It seems juvenile, undignified, as if wanting to break things isn't. And he says, haha. But what is there? How do you let anger out in a way that feels safe, productive, and real? If you've struggled with this, what has helped you? By the way, before we go into this, I just want to, I know we're reading people who post things publicly on Reddit, just honor this person, wow, for being so vulnerable and sharing that experience of anger and, what is behind it. Because I think a lot of times, as they're saying, like, we don't talk about this in society,
Totally.
Especially when it comes to the emotion of anger. It's like almost taboo to talk about what's making you angry.
Oh, absolutely, and especially for women, right? We're supposed to be good girls.
Exactly.
So, this speaks to primarily the importance of titration. Titration, building up our capacity to even get certain releases or feel certain emotions. Because a lot of the women that I work with carry shame around the idea of being angry, especially if they have lashed out in certain capacities in the past. They even sometimes feel, and I was this way, so no judgment, but I used to feel so afraid of even just singing in the shower, even if no one was around, because it felt like strange to me to kind of like allow myself to express freely without always being so poised and perfect. Right. And I remember I worked with a practitioner when I was healing, and I told her my goal is to be able to scream because I could not get my anger out. And I felt so weird screaming, right? I felt like, like I can hear myself and like, this is weird. And there's something about it that carries a lot of shame for many of us and makes us feel like we're being too loud. We're taking up too much space. And so we do anger somatics. And anger somatics always need to look like resourcing or regulation on the front end and on the back end. So if you're gonna get angry, if you're going to do some punches, you're gonna push a wall, you're going to wring out your hands, you're going to push something away, right? Which can often feel actually easier than screaming into a pillow or even screaming at all, because there's something about vocalization that feels very vulnerable when we've often been told our voice is not worthy or shouldn't be heard. That on the front and back end of that, we're also self-soothing again through some type of swaying or slow movement or supportive movement to remind ourselves we can release that anger, but we can also come back to a state of safety. That being said, for this individual, right, I think it would be really important for them to work with somebody who's going to individualize their approach, because even letting that level of anger out, like punching once or twice, right, and feeling, you're starting to get that, can feel like, oh no, now it's building up and now it's all coming out. And when we fear anger, and in a sense fear our own expression, right, there needs to be a lot of work on the front end to build up that self-worth and self-confidence first before allowing that anger out. Otherwise, we will just feel very ashamed of it and uncomfortable with it, and will again create a kind of fear association with it and not want to really revisit it again.
Wow, really powerful. And to this person, I think it's so brave. I always commend people, especially on Reddit, who are looking for solutions, and commend them for being honest and vulnerable and putting themselves out there. One last one in the Reddit rabbit hole. So this person starts off with healing tears plus nervous system regulation. I've noticed that my tears are different since working on trauma healing, plus learning about polyvagal theory. I never used to cry much. It always took a lot to push me over the edge. I never cried with hormones or monthly cycle, etc. But since committing to trauma therapy, I've noticed a new type of tears, like I'm riding a wave of pure emotion, rather than feeling actually upset or inconsolable. I don't know if this makes sense. It's huge, wet, bobbly tears, which stream down my face, like something physically releasing from my body. They don't tend to last long. I like them. It makes me feel more alive. There's both a lot of pain and a lot of self-love behind them. Does anyone else recognize this? I think I read somewhere that this is the nervous system resetting into a parasympathetic state. I know that I have a flight freeze default pattern, so there's usually a lot of movement and busyness in my life. These tears seem to be happening when I've consciously put time into healing, with therapy and yoga, deep massages, music, and when I've taken out excess stimulation from my environment. It may be that I'm coming out of a low level of chronic dissociation. I just wondered if anyone had a SE, I'm not too sure what that is. Nervous
Somatic
system.
experience.
Oh, somatic experience. Okay, thank you. Nervous system biology perspective on what's happening. And we have you, Kate, who's perfect to answer this.
Oh, I mean, this person seems like they already really understand a lot, right? So we, again, see on Instagram that release is like an exorcism, like just everything is coming out. And notice this person said they're short bursts. I actually enjoy them. It feels different. It feels kind of like something's coming out of me, but in a really supportive way, like I'm cleansing, right? These are the releases that we want. This is when somebody has titrated to thawing out of their freeze and not just gone full fight, flight, and actually allow themselves to slowly ease through the emotions that they shut down to. So this is gorgeous. You are gonna cry more when you go through regulation. I don't think I cried for 5 to 7 years before I went through my journey of regulation work, right? Because I was just so numb. I couldn't do it. I would sometimes feel it building up and then it would just, I just push that down, right? So to me, crying absolutely became one of my favorite activities. It still is today. I love when I cry. And so it's just incredible to see this person build that association with crying, because now they're not going to be so afraid of it or see it as weak or see it as something to panic over, but instead they're getting the experience of crying as being restorative, as being a form of self-soothing. And when we practice somatics, not to force a release, not to open up fascia, not to, rip everything open, what we find is that release often comes when we feel so safe that we can finally let out what we've been protecting, putting armor around. And it doesn't look like a big exorcism. It looks like, I finally get to let this thing out that really hurt me or that was really intense. So this is a really cool post and absolutely spot on, right? They obviously know a lot.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so sad in society we've shamed crying. Like in corporate, it's like, oh, you're gonna ruin your career if you cry, or big girls don't cry, or men don't cry. There's so much negative narrative around crying, which I think is incredibly harmful, actually, to people.
Absolutely. God, crying is like one of the best things that we can do.
Such a release.
Right?